Ready to discover Epcot on your own? Let's go ahead and dive in. When it comes to visiting this experimental prototype community of tomorrow, which is what Epcot stands for, it has always been thought of as a theme park that you could actually spend a whole day in. But when you are going there as a solo traveler, you should really take your time getting lost in all the history that is at this beautiful theme park. You have World Showcase, which is the area that showcases all of the countries and the cultures. And then you have the area towards the front of the park, which is trying to explain to you some of the technology that we use today that can help us for the future. Now, before you even get to Epcot, you might be thinking, how do I even get to Epcot? Is it going to be hard for me to navigate the Disney parks while I am there? And the answer is no, it will not be hard, even if you are staying off-site. But locally, you're going to want to stay at a resort that will have a shuttle. Most resorts near the Universal and Disney area will have shuttles that will run back and forth to the parks throughout the day for free. But it is much easier if you do stay on site, because while you are at Disney, you can take their buses for free. If you are at resorts that have systems like a monorail or the Skyliner or boats, like all those things are free. Now, once you arrive to Epcot, you're going to notice that big golf ball. That is actually a ride inside of that, believe it or not. And it is called Spaceship Earth, which takes us through the time of communication, how we have communicated with each other through the past. But that is the basis of Spaceship Earth, is communication through the centuries. Now, once you are at Epcot, the solo life may feel a little bit weird walking in there, but one of the things that I do recommend with anything is to kind of have your plan down. Going on a solo trip is intimidating after all, but when you are going to somewhere like Epcot, which is more adult-friendly Disney park, it will be easier to enjoy some of the rides and the attractions. While mapping out your day, it does kind of take away the anxiety. I know even when I do go to Epcot today, I always like to go with a goal in mind. Sometimes I'll go there to just work, or sometimes I go there and I'm like, hey, I want to do a little bit of drinking around the world, not too crazy because I am by myself. So that's just one of the things that I do. So much is happening at Epcot that even though it's my number one theme park, it just might become yours too. When you are planning to map out your day at Epcot, be sure to make reservations to some of the top restaurants there. For me, one of my favorite places to eat, I love Spice Rail Table. That's the restaurant in Morocco. It has a gorgeous view of the lagoon. And when you're a solo traveler, that's like the place to be. I like any place in Disney that has something to kind of keep me entertained. So like the lagoon, you can look at that, especially if you want to watch the fireworks show. Try to go over there and get you a nice reservation a little later, maybe towards the 8:30 time block. While you are at Epcot, you're going to want to make sure that you really take your time in World Showcase. There are so many countries represented in World Showcase, such as Mexico, Norway, China, Germany, Italy, America, Japan, Morocco, France, the United Kingdom, and Canada. While you are going through every country, you're going to want to discover all the nooks and crannies. There's so many things to learn there, so many cultural artifacts and stories throughout each pavilion. Plus, each pavilion has food, drinks. Why do I always go to food and drinks? I'm sorry, guys. But it does. It has food, drinks, and merchandise, particularly from that country. And speaking of drinks, I know this is one of the questions that I kind of get. Should I drink around the world at Epcot? And I will say, it depends. I know that's not really an answer, but it depends based on, do you really drink outside of vacation time? And are you driving? Where are you staying? That kind of thing. If you do want to drink around the world, I will say to maybe limit it to maybe wine or beer. Don't try to do the heavy hitters. Don't try to do mixed drinks. Just do like a wine that's particularly special to that country, or a beer that's special to that country, and maybe split it up into 2 days on your trip. Maybe do half a World Showcase and then come back the next day and do half a World Showcase. Because the worst thing you could be on your solo trip is intoxicated. And it's just not safe. You know, I want you guys to have fun, but I want you to be safe at the same time. Now, another thing that I am asked is, what are the attractions that I must do. Number one is that you must do Soarin'. Right now, I think Soarin' is just a beautiful ride in general. I love the elements, even though I do miss the old Soarin', but I do like what it represents of us just exploring the world and seeing all these incredible artifacts. It really does fit into Epcot. Another attraction that I really recommend that you do is my favorite ride at Epcot, which is Living with the Land. It is a classic Disney boat ride, dark ride, but it also has an educational component to kind of allow you to understand how humans and the land work together and how we both need to treat each other with respect in order to keep the life cycle going. Now, to help your trip out a little bit better, I do suggest coming to Epcot during a special festival. Epcot has 4 incredible festivals. You have Festival of the Arts, which happens in January to February. You have the Epcot Flower and Garden Festival, which usually takes place around late February, early March. And then you have the Food and Wine Festival and goes through November. Then the special 4th one, that's the Festival of the Holidays, or Epcot International Festival of the Holidays. Anytime you go to Epcot, you're basically going to most likely end up into one of those 4 festivals. And those are really good Epcot events to enjoy on your solo trip, because not only are you going to be able to ride the attractions, but you're also going to be able to explore food options that you wouldn't normally explore. And it kind of makes the adventure a little bit more fun. If you're like me, I'm an adventurous eater. And don't get me wrong, the food here is not too over the top, nothing that you will not definitely eat. It's just nice to try some things that, you could have been like, I didn't know that this is what I could have. So I think combining the two, having that festival element and the standalone attractions that are there year round, that's the best time to come to Epcot. I would say the Festival of the Arts wins for me because, one, the weather is phenomenal in Florida. The Epcot Festival of the Arts food is incredible, beautiful. The only problem is that the Epcot Festival of the Arts food is a little bit on the pricey side, so you have to think about that. Now, another issue, I won't call it issue, a challenge that I get from you guys is that, who will I talk to? I don't know what I'm gonna do there. And it's okay, you don't have to be a social butterfly, but you should be able to work on your socialization skills. If you see someone, a cast member standing along, they might be handing out a pamphlet, you can go up to them and strike up a conversation. Tell them thank you for your service, or say, hey, what do you suggest for this? I'm actually traveling on my solo trip and you never know what you may do. Or you could just use people that's in the ThemeParkHipster community. We have a Facebook group. You can come over to the Instagram community, meet some people who are following ThemeParkHipster, and kind of strike up some conversations there. This is your community, so I don't want you to feel like when you go to your trip, it's just you. Definitely, you're going to be by yourself most of the time, just enjoying the elements, but come meet us. We want to meet you. This is what we're here for. We're here to support each other on this solo journey, because it is something you have to really get outside of your comfort zone just to do this solo trip. So do not hesitate to reach out to us. Make that your goal, to speak to one solo traveler, either in the ThemeParkHipster Facebook group or Instagram. I want to mention one of the things that you may be thinking about on your solo trip is your safety. A lot of people are like, I am kind of scared. I don't know what to do. Epcot, is it safe? Is Disney safe? Disney's kind of big. I don't know where to start. First of all, I will say that you are coming to a very safe place. Like Disney World security is, they're pretty much on point. You're not going to be in harm's way. With that said, you still have to keep your instincts up. You have to be mindful of your surroundings. Just because Disney has all the protocols in place doesn't mean that there are not any, bad people out there. So with any kind of travel, any just day-to-day, when you're leaving your house, you have to just keep your antennas up. And that goes the same on your solo trip. Luckily for you, you're coming to a very safe place. You're gonna be in a Disney bubble. As far as the size of Disney, don't feel too intimidated. It's actually pretty easy to navigate, especially if you're coming here and you're not even gonna drive. And then you could use all the free Disney transportation. I would say the best resort for you to stay at while you are visiting Epcot, if Epcot is your main theme park of your trip, I would say stay at the Dolphin or the Swan. One, you're gonna get an incredible price because usually they're much cheaper, and you still get to get Disney perks like early access, free transportation. Plus, The Swan and Dolphin is a boat ride away from Hollywood Studios or a boat ride away from Epcot. And it's right next to the Boardwalk Resort and the boardwalk where you can walk around and go to all the restaurants. So that's a perfect location. Now, I know that a lot of times when people are traveling alone, they don't want to be alone. But I don't want you to look at it in that mindset. Think of this as your time to regroup, to get yourself together, to go back into this world. Because dealing in this world is kind of hard. It's a lot going on. And sometimes you need that Disney magic. You need that solo travel. You need that time to recenter. Get back to yourself, and then you can go out and conquer the world. When you're at Disney, you are not alone. I promise you, you will not be alone. You might get to a point where you're like, I thought I was on a solo trip, but I keep hanging out with people. I need a break. So don't even worry about it. Just make the journey. Come here, meet people, and come meet me. I would love to meet you on your solo trip. So that is all that we have today. And until next time, happy park hopping hipsters.